As Bitcoin closes in on all-time highs again, these three altcoins are primed for explosive growth when the money flows back into altcoins. Plus, is Aster setting the stage for the next biggest narrative run of 2025? This is your Altcoin Buzz News. Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Cody, and if you're new here, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't drop latest content. Follow us on Twitter, AltcoinBuzzIO, and as always, this is not financial advice, and wish the best of luck in your crypto ventures. Also, make sure to join us for our X Spaces Tuesday to Friday at 9 a.m. EST, link down below. All right, good morning, guys. Happy Friday. Bitcoin is closing in on new all-time highs, and Bitcoin is really doing what it does, which is catching everyone off guard, seemingly. We pumped straight off of the beginning of October, so Uptober is in full swing. We pumped straight off the bottoms here, and we're up over basically $10,000 over the past couple days, about 10, almost 11%, up over $11,000 in the past couple days. This is pretty crazy because we were expecting some kind of resistance here around 116 to around 118,000. This level, which has been a support and resistance for a long time now. And in a single day, we just blasted straight through that, which we typically do in bull markets when things are super bullish. But at the time, things didn't seem super bullish as we were going into government shutdown. Things were kind of like dead on the timeline. Everything seemed kind of dreary. And of course, Bitcoin turns around in one day. And so going into October, usually historically, October is a very bullish month for Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance going up. So I want to show that as well. Bitcoin dominance is right here around just under 60% here. And I do believe we'll see a tick up in Bitcoin dominance again going into this month. Now, it doesn't mean that altcoins will necessarily go down. It just means I think Bitcoin will outperform a lot of them this month. And that's actually a good thing for the next leg up. You don't want altcoins to just be pumping nonstop without Bitcoin going first. And so what we want is money to flow into Bitcoin, which it is doing right now, which you can clearly see by this chart going straight up. So we want money to flow into Bitcoin. We want Bitcoin dominance to tick up one last time because the longer Bitcoin dominance keeps going up and ticking up, the longer the season and the crypto cycle will last, which is what we ultimately want. So I think we're going to see us a push towards probably around 60, at least 60% here, but maybe back up here towards these, 63-ish% range, which is ideal. So the longer we go up here on Bitcoin dominance and Bitcoin trends higher, the better it is for us ultimately for altcoin season. So I think we'll probably head up towards these, 63-ish% range for Bitcoin dominance, which is good. And that'll probably coincide with Bitcoin breaking out to new all-time highs. Maybe that's towards, $130,000, $140,000, $150,000. Who knows where it will go exactly. But once that does stop, then we can have our proper altcoin season where ETH will pick up, ETH dominance will pick up, and altcoins will flow. And you can kind of see that in the market today. Other than Aster, which is green on the day, everything is it's just slightly red on the day. Nothing too big. But it just means after the huge run up we had yesterday, alts were green yesterday, and Bitcoin was heavily green yesterday. And so I think a cooling off period is to be expected for altcoins, even if Bitcoin wants to continue higher today, which it kind of looks like it might right now. Usually we expect some kind of pullback, but in super bullish markets like we are right now, Bitcoin doesn't want to let people in. It just wants to continue while everyone is sidelined, which a lot of people are, because we did not expect this to happen. And one thing that I thought was kind of interesting is in Korean Blockchain Week, in the previous week, Bitcoin was nuking. And usually in these kind of crypto events, Bitcoin will either sell off. But it seems like Korean Blockchain Week, it sold off last week. And now when everyone's at Token 2049 in Singapore this week, it's pumping without everyone paying attention and kind of keeping other people sidelined as well. So Bitcoin just doing super crazy moves during these conference weeks. It's also just seasonality with October and Uptober and all that. So a lot of things going on for Bitcoin right now. But moving on, we have update. Polymarket users predict a 34% chance of the US government shutdown ending on October 15th or later. So that's about 2 weeks from now. Then we have the Kobayashi later saying there will be no jobs reports tomorrow, 2 weeks after the Fed cut rates due to weak labor market. Jobs data has been indefinitely suspended. Until the government shutdown ends, there will be no BLS labor data. We're 26 days from the next Fed meeting, with tomorrow's suspended jobs report being the final one before their next meeting. So the Fed is cutting rates into rising inflation due to a weak labor market, but we can no longer receive key labor market data. And when we do receive the data, it's revised down 2 times before it's considered accurate. The system is broken. So no jobs data before the next Fed meeting, which is an interesting scenario. We also have Ali Charts who says long-term holders are accumulating. Over 3,800 Bitcoin was bought in the past month. And CryptoRS shares the UK just did what Germany couldn't do, stack Bitcoin. After the largest crypto seizure in history, 61,000 Bitcoin, worth $6.7 billion, the UK is now seeking to keep these coins, instantly putting them in the club of sovereign Bitcoin whales. This could make them officially the third largest state holder behind only US and China. And we also have the Coinbase CEO who said live on Fox that all G20 nations will establish a Bitcoin strategic reserve soon.
Saw the United States of America now has a strategic Bitcoin reserve. So if the United States government is going to begin holding Bitcoin, I think that's going to be a massive driver of demand, and the rest of the G20 countries will probably follow suit. And then the last thing I'd say is that we saw recently the launch of the Bitcoin ETFs by a number of different firms, and Coinbase is actually powering 80% of the custody for those that are out there. But we're seeing a ton of institutional money continue to flow into Bitcoin now that these ETFs are live. So there's a lot of positive tailwinds for Bitcoin, and I think that there's never going to be more than 21 million Bitcoin ever made in the world, and lots of pools of capital still haven't gotten access to it. So that tells me this thing has a long way to run.
And a quick shout out to Surge. It's this risk-free prediction game on Telegram where you just swipe to guess pump or dump, earn rewards, and pick up some market skills while you're at it. They've also kicked off a weekly giveaway. It's super simple. Every week there's a coin of the week, and this week it's Tau. All you gotta do is swipe to find it on the Surge app, screenshot it, and drop it under their tweet. One random reply wins $50 in USDT, so it's super easy. So check out Surge, have some fun swiping, maybe snag some prizes along the way. And then moving on to Aster, I had a bunch of ideas and I didn't know where to put it, so I just kind of wrote it down into this into a tweet here. Now, first, the numbers don't lie. Aster is doing $80 billion in daily volume compared to just $10 billion for Hyperliquid. Now, who's to say if that is, real volume? But you can see here on DeFi Llama, 84, almost $85 billion in the past 24 hours in perp volume on DeFi Llama. Now, as for daily revenue, $13 million plus versus only $3 million for Hyperliquid. And despite this dominance, Aster's market cap is $3 billion, while Hyperliquid sits at $13 billion. So Aster is generating 4x the revenue and 7 times the volume, yet trades at just a quarter of Hyperliquid's valuation, which is a massive mismatch. Secondly is positioning. Aster is becoming the default infrastructure layer for on-chain perps, the same way Solana became the infrastructure layer for meme coins. Hype's market share is dropping, while Aster's is growing, and is seeing huge traction in Asia. Third is their product momentum. Traders are moving over from centralized exchanges because Aster offers centralized exchange-like user experience, low slippage, and fast execution. And user-managed vaults aren't even live yet, which is something that Hyperliquid has. Once they launch, they could unlock huge passive capital, just like GMX did in its breakout phase. Fourth is the tokenomics and catalysts. Yes, Aster does have token unlocks, which we're going to get to in a second, but remember what happened with Sui. After their unlocks, price actually rallied from 70 cents to $4. Aster's unlocks are spread out over 5+ years, so no big cliff is ahead. Plus, Binance and Coinbase listings are still pending, and the CEO has confirmed that buybacks are 100% coming. Those are huge upcoming catalysts. If we go over here, you can see that Binance is actually busy testing Aster deposits and withdrawals right now, so there's interesting times ahead, which means Binance could have a spot listing, which would be a big catalyst, especially if Binance went and then Coinbase went as well. We also have Aster doing 35% of all crypto revenues, while its market cap is only 0.8% of the total crypto market cap at $3.76 trillion. Kind of wild, it's trading 40x lower than proportional revenue generated in the space. Think about it and see the obvious trade. And then one thing I've been seeing a lot is a lot of people talking about Aster's tokenomics, which are just wrong. They're saying there's a huge unlock, like 96% is going to be unlocked in the next 2 weeks, which is not the case. We actually have a huge linear unlock over the next 5 years. And so over the next couple of weeks, we actually have on October 17th, in a couple of weeks now, we have a couple percentages worth of unlocks. You can see here, we have 2.29% of the total supply is being unlocked in 14 days. And then each month afterwards, it's about 1.5% of the total supply. Some months it's a little higher at 2.29, but about 1.5 to 2.5% is being unlocked each month over the next 5 years here. So it's not like 96% of the total value is going to be unlocked in the next 2 weeks, which is something that I've been seeing going around on X. Like the whole 96% is going to be dumped in like the next 2 weeks, which is kind of a strange thing to suggest. But anyway, Aster is one of the only ones that is green on the day. It is pumping like crazy. I do expect a bit of a pullback here. So even though it's up, I do expect some kind of pullback, especially with Bitcoin, which might have a pullback today as well. But this isn't the most terrible thing. If we do pull back here, which we totally could, down towards around $1.74-ish, 75, it's totally fine if we come back into this level of support because we've now broken back above, and we'll retest this as a level of support. Now, it doesn't have to come back down here, but if it does, it's totally fine. And I do expect us to consolidate here a little bit longer, start creating higher lows and higher highs. And I think we go to new all-time highs probably sometime in mid-October, leading into this October 17th unlock. I think what's going to happen is a lot of people might be selling in before this unlock on the 17th, but usually what happens is big exchanges, like we have Binance backing this, basically, big exchanges like to kind of reverse the psychology, and everyone who thinks that the price is going to dump, they sell, they get sidelined, and then price continues much higher. So it's almost better to be longing into the unlocks because they want to catch people off sides. They want people to be sidelined as it continues much higher, and then they have to buy back a lot higher afterwards. So my thought is that it's probably going to be a bullish unlock where they don't want people to just be able to sell and then buy back lower in the next couple of days. And so that's what my plan is for Aster. And I do think we're probably going higher, probably towards $3 by probably at least the end of the month. So I do like the Aster chart here. It's one of the stronger coins today, but I still wouldn't be surprised if we pulled back into this level of support at some point over the next day or so. And then moving on to Sui, we have Sui just hit a TVL all-time high of $2.26 billion. Money is flowing hard and fast. We also have Coinbase to list Sui futures on October 20th. Sui will soon tap institutional and retail traders in US regulated markets. And we also have Sui, who just released their SuiBall by Citadel Wallet, their first hardware wallet to natively support Sui and Bitcoin. They dropped this at SuiFest. Pretty cool video here. They have clear signing with no blind transactions, Sui and slush integration, Bitcoin and Bitcoin Fi support, and you can pre-order it now. We also have a Sui ETF coming. 21 shares T Sui ETF was just listed on the DTCC, and this is just the first step. Sui is now making waves. And then we also have more news from Sui. They just launched a lot of news at the SuiFest. The countdown begins for SuiUSDE arriving on Sui. Powered by official SuiG and Athena Labs, Sui's first income-generating digital dollar native to a non-EVM chain is coming to Sui. We also have the Sui co-founder talking about that here, saying this.
Okay, breaking news. This is really good. SuiG, Athena, and Sui Foundation are launching a new revenue-generating stablecoin on Sui called SuiUSDE. The plan is to grow it together to the tens of billions of dollars, and the revenue generated from this stablecoin is ultimately going to pump back into buying back Sui tokens on the public market. So we're going to grow Sui DeFi at a rate that's never been seen before. Now you have a scenario where the Sui blockchain has a native revenue generating stablecoin to power the financial future of the protocols on it. So the greater revenue for protocols built on Sui, greater revenue for those who are doing DeFi, much more demand for Sui natively because we're going to be buying back Sui in the public market with SuiG and also Sui Foundation, and ultimately long-term self-sustaining DeFi ecosystem. This has never been done before, and I can't wait to get this on the market. This is amazing, and ultimately, as I mentioned, it's going to change DeFi in the Sui ecosystem forever. This is a new day, and I'm really super excited.
And then moving on to Sei, we have Sei has flipped INJ and ICP, and now tops the two combined in total trading volume. So you can see here, Sei, Injective, Internet Computer, and Kava, and Sei's total daily trading volume is surging. We also have, according to Masari Crypto, Q2 is already the breakout quarter for Sei Network in gaming, but now that Q3 is wrapped, it's clear the pace didn't slow, it's accelerating. Nearly 50% of on-chain activity on Sei now comes from gaming dApps, fastest scaling vertical on the fastest scaling chain. And we also have Sei adding, gaming on Sei has surged by 600% over the past year, making it the #1 gaming chain by a wide margin. And gaming is a powerful proxy for global scale finance. Microtransactions are the ultimate stress test for high throughput, low latency infrastructure. The same demands made by global markets. Sei is a leader in gaming because it was purpose-built for global scale digital asset markets. And we have Not Telling adding, get in on coins that will benefit from the SEC to allow tokenization. Sei is positioned perfectly to benefit from this and already have Apollo's $112 million credit fund live on Sei. And don't forget, Apollo has $840 billion in assets under management. The amount of money that will flow into Sei from tokenization is going to be insane. Now, Sei on the daily chart is still looking all right. It's kind of in this just level of consolidation between about 27 cents and around 37 cents. We're just kind of consolidating right here. And what I expect is it'll probably underperform Bitcoin, obviously, in the next couple of weeks as Bitcoin takes all the money and it continues higher. But that's fine. I think what will happen is we'll probably come back down here towards around 27, maybe consolidate between here. But really what you want to see is you want to see higher lows and higher highs start to form. And so once you start to see this level breakout, this is where you can get positioned into Sei, whether it's at this mid-range here, or if you want to wait for us to just fully break out of this range, which we've been in for multiple months now. If you want to wait for us to fully break out, break above this level of about 37 cents, reclaim, I think we're probably going to go through this level of inefficiency pretty quickly, back up to 54 cents. That's a much easier trade to take. But if you wanted to get a little bit earlier, you could probably do it around the mid-range once you start to make this new series of higher highs and higher lows and create an uptrending market structure, which we don't have right now. Whether that's, around here at the mid-range or we continue lower and then we break it higher, wherever this kind of Wherever this structure kind of sets up is where you could be entering say, but you could also just do it above here if you wanted an easier way to get into say, because once we do break above here, I think it is probably going quickly to this next level of resistance around 54 cents. So I like say, but there's no trade to be taken right now at this area. We're gonna have to wait a little bit longer for this and for altcoins to start taking off once Bitcoin dominance drops again. And lastly, today we have Solana and Nasdaq listed Vision Systems AI launches up to $2 billion Solana treasury with Marinade Finance aiming to acquire and stake 500 million Solana within 6 months. So a $2 billion Solana treasury. We have multiple other Solana, digital asset treasuries going on right now. And now a new one is going to be buying $2 billion, up to $2 billion of Solana. We also have Solana led all major networks in revenue in Q3 with $222 million, marking 4 consecutive quarters as number one. So a year, so basically a whole year as the number one network for major revenue. We also have over the last year, users on Solana have paid $2.1 billion to the network for block space, 46% of all fees paid in crypto. We also have Circle saying USYC is now available on Solana. USYC is a tokenized money market fund that accrues yield via token price increases and redeems to and from USDC on chain. Daily pricing, SPL native integration, and Oracle driven updates. Collateral on many venues is static, yield is not captured, and capital is underutilized. And USYC can change that for eligible users. We also have a look on chain saying Circle has minted another $1 billion USDC on Solana today. Over the past month, Circle has minted about $7.25 billion in USDC, which just basically means a lot of money is coming into the ecosystem, the crypto ecosystem. Whenever Circle mints $1 billion, usually prices tend to go up in the coming days and weeks. We also have Sol ETF issuers expect SEC approval as soon as next week with high conviction despite the shutdown risk. So even though the government is shut down, there is potential ETF approval coming maybe later this month with the next deadlines for Solana. Now, Solana, I will say, if we go to Solana, is looking great. It broke through this level of resistance above $217, and we're consolidating right here. This is a great area. I will say we're at resistance, so we've come up into this level of resistance right here, around $234. But I do really like this area. If we break back above this area now, you could do a trade back towards these highs around $261, which would look something like this, where we reclaim this level. You put your stops below these lows here around $227. You target back to 261. I do think Solana is one of the stronger coins right now. Once you especially break back above 261, because we've had no daily closes above here, I do think it's going to fly towards $300. And now with all the Solana ETFs and the digital asset treasuries trying to stack Solana, I do think it's one of the stronger coins going on right now. So I do like Solana. It's just at a level of resistance. So I'd either want it to flip this level of resistance or to either consolidate back down here around the mid $228-ish range, and you could take a trade from there as well. But this is a stronger coin. I do think if Bitcoin wants to continue, it'll probably follow very closely. And so something like this would look good for me for Solana. And that is the video for today, guys. Bitcoin still looks strong. It looks like it's poised to go even higher today. It looks like it kind of wants to make a attempt at the highs. We'll have to see what happens there. Usually when we get to the highs, we reject pretty harshly and then continue higher. So we're gonna have to see what happens there. But I think Bitcoin is looking very strong. Bitcoin dominance is ticking up, which is actually good for us in the long run, even though altcoins might underperform over the next week or so as Bitcoin dominance ticks up. But it's actually better for us. We want Bitcoin to make another leg higher, whether it's to 130 or 140, 150. We want to get this space. We want to break out of this range and trade much higher because that'll just extend our cycle for us and hopefully make us a lot more money as the cycle, extends a little bit longer. And altcoins will have a lot more room to grow as well. So that's the video for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.